Where's all the waterfalls and shipwreck lagoons?
The fuck?
Remain calm. All is well.
Maybe we should think about this.
You guys, the fuck? Are you forgetting how crappy your lives are?
All is well.
Hello, welcome to Red Hot Steelers Takes. I'm here with Chris from the Sports Jedi Network, and we're here to talk about what was, to say the least, an interesting NFL draft. If you caught any of the reaction on Thursday and Friday, a lot of pretty shocking developments. Chris, I didn't get to talk to you during the draft. How you doing?
I'm doing.
What do we think?
I'm doing, man. I'm doing. There was a lot of questionable picks, in my opinion. I think Omar embarrassed the entire city in the first round by not waiting till he was on the clock to make a phone call to a pick that us here have been talking about for weeks. Yeah, I was not thrilled. I was not thrilled in this draft. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
All the hype, all the excitement. I was more excited. I was more happy for the Jets.
Yeah, they had a pretty good draft. I mean, it was interesting. I
was more happy for the Jets
actually,
than I was for the Steelers in this draft. I'm like, okay, they improved. You know, I know a lot of Jets fans aren't high on David Bailey, which I don't know why. But yeah, I mean, we'll get into it. But I thought Omar completely embarrassed us.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because you were talking about Mekhi Lemon, so let's jump right in. He was on the phone with Omar, and the Dallas fucking idiot Cowboys go ahead and say, "Yeah, let's screw over the Steelers, who are not in our division. We know they're losing A.J. Brown. We want to gift wrap a receiver to the Philadelphia Eagles." I put this out on X. Since when do you help your that'd be like the Steelers trading with the Ravens to screw over the Rams. I mean, I don't get it. Well, I mean, it's bad enough he's on the phone, but I mean, what'd you just think of the move in general? I mean, is Dallas really that fucking petty?
It has to be for the George Pickens stuff. I mean, I don't know what other situation this could be, and that sounds really dumb, but it's like, why would you do that? And I blame Omar, because at the end of the day, don't call somebody when you're not on the clock. I mean, that is rule number one. That is literally rule number one. Do not call anybody until you're on the clock. That's one. Two, you should have made a trade. I give no Omar. I'm not giving Omar any. What's it called? I'm not, he didn't do that. I'm not going to defend him in any way. No, this is his fault. You could have traded one more spot, just like the Browns did. You could have done that, or just like Dallas did. You could have done that.
Well, when we get into grades here in a little bit, I do want to take a look and see, did we maybe, and I've seen some people make this point on X, did we maybe get the benefit here? Because would Mekhi Lemon be a really good wide receiver 3 with wide receiver 1 potential? Yeah. I mean, there's a reason he went where he did. But if you really did solve your other tackle position, and when we talk about the grades, I love the nickname IMAX. I cannot wait. I love that nickname. But, and I've seen a lot of people like, well, he won't help us this year. He's going to sit on bench. He's going to do this. He's going to do that. Man, I'm just telling you, if you haven't watched all the tape that's been put out there on X about him the last day or two, go watch it. Go watch it, because my man against some number 1 draft picks looked really, really good. Another thing before we get into our draft grades. So we know what happened at pick 76. And I've seen a lot today. I think I heard it on all 3 radio shows. I've seen it on X. Aaron Rodgers, Steelers say, screw you. We don't need you back. We're just going to have an open, quarterback competition with Drew Aller and Will Howard. And we're going to look to the future. What do you think there, Chris?
Listen, when it comes to Drew Aller, I mean, people are gonna, and I've already got this. I've already gotten this. Chris, you're an Ohio State fan. Of course, you're gonna advocate for Will Howard to be the starting quarterback on your favorite NFL team. Are we really gonna sit here, Steelers fans, and believe that Drew Aller is the answer? I mean, I've said this in the last 2 Fridays ago. He's not good in big games. I know people are going to be happy because he's from Penn State. His footwork is extremely sloppy in big games. It is so bad. Go watch the Ohio State game. Since we're comparing the two, go watch the Ohio State game. Yes, Will Howard threw a pick six in the first play. I think it was the first play of the game where Will Howard throws a pick six. I believe Drew Aller threw for like 120, while Will Howard threw for like 180. Way more pass attempts for more completions. Now, granted, we know Ohio State did have Jeremiah Smith, Emeka, Ibuka, and Carter and Tate. But that's not my point. My point is the size difference. People are talking about Drew Aller's arm. Have you seen Will Howard's? He is not Pittsburgh's new franchise quarterback. Now, to Aaron Rodgers. Boy, am I might regret saying this, but I kind of want him to come back for a year. If this is who we're stuck with, if the Pittsburgh Steelers are stuck with Will Howard, Drew Aller, and Mason Rudolph as your 3 quarterbacks going into September, Aaron Rodgers, please. For the last time, because I did this last year, right? When I realized our freaking QB group was Mason Rudolph and Skylar Thompson. Aaron, stop. Sign on the dot. And do what you can to mentor both these guys. I feel like Aaron Rodgers could give McCarthy a pointer. This is who I think should kind of lead the way when I'm out of here. Aaron, come for 1 more year. If you shit the bed, if you get hurt, and one of these guys happen to pull a Justin Fields, you don't get rid of them this time. I'm at that point.
I like Awesome Angels here. Open quarterback competition. Drew Aller versus Will Howard. My money's on Skylar Thompson.
Yeah, he didn't, dude. What was that? It wasn't the Jags. It was the second preseason game last year. I was like, oh, was it Carolina? That I was like, oh, yeah. Okay, Skylar Thompson. He was actually not playing that bad. But no, if this is our QB group, get Will Howard. Get Aaron Rodgers to come back, because I do not trust a sloppy-footed Drew Aller who cannot win in big games when Will Howard has proven he can. It's a tough one. It's a tough one because the kid's coming off an injury, so I want to give him the benefit of the doubt. But it is what it is. I've seen the film. I watched his games.
I'll be honest with you. If this is really our quarterback room, if Aaron doesn't come back, Bernard played in the backfield some at Alabama, and they've compared him to Debo. I mean, I say we just go Wildcat single wing and see what happens. And
at this point, we might have to.
Yeah, we might have to do some interesting things on day. Well, then again, we got Caden Witch, and he'll score all our touchdowns on kick returns. Which, let's speaking of which, let's jump into it and take a look at the draft. So we're going to grade on 2 different things. We're going to grade on the value of the pick and the player himself, because it's 2 different things. A lot of these guys have caught a lot of shit because of where they were picked. And I don't necessarily know from a player standpoint whether it's as justified as we think it is versus when Omar decided to take him. And look, I love Omar. I defend Omar. I've said his drafts were really good up until this year. Now, there is some potential diamond stuff here, but man, this felt like too cute by half. This felt like Matt Canada was running the draft to me. So let's jump right in. So Max, IMAX, cool nickname. I love it. He goes at pick 21. What are we thinking for value here, Chris, at pick 21? We know who Omar was on the phone with.
Value, I think I think it's an A, because I did think that they were going to take a guard or an offensive lineman in the first round. And, obviously Vega, ironically, right, goes to Baltimore. So, we
Mhm.
kind of get screwed more than one ways. But by the positioning that we need, I have to give it an A, just because that is a position that I was hoping for Vega, but if we weren't going to go out there and get a Makai Lemon, if the Steelers weren't going to actually go out there and do something, I would have been perfectly fine with the no tackle. So for just the simple fact that we need somebody down there, I have to give this an A. It's not the perfect pick, but I have to give it an A because that's what we need right now.
So I'm going to give for value here a B minus, and the reason why is because I actually had him as my fourth best tackle in the draft. I thought we were going to take Caden Proctor. I didn't realize he was going to go so high, because a lot of people had him as the fourth and fifth tackle on the board. I had him slightly ahead of Max, but I like Max a lot. And if you've watched a little on X, Trey Essex has been raving about him. Loves his feet. Everybody says he's a project. I don't think that. I do think he's a really good right tackle, and I think at this point there is some rumbling and truth to the fact that Fatano played left tackle. It was not the blind side of with Michael Penix, but he did play left tackle, so it's not like it's something completely unknown to him over there. So if you move him over there, Fatano over there, assuming Broderick is not healthy, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Fatano on the left, Max on the right, and then you got Dunker and McCormick and Frazier. Man, that's a really good offensive line. And you know what? Knock on wood, if Broderick's back healthy, okay, well, maybe Broderick beats Max out, and then they keep the line the way it was at the end of last year.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the only thing I'm going to say here, though, is I had Max graded as like 28 to 28, 29 on my big board. So taking him at 21, I get it. The guy you wanted was there, but I mean, to pass over, if you really wanted wide receiver, the logical thing was to go Concepcion. He goes 4 picks later to the Bills, or 3 picks later, or to the Browns. I'm sorry. That's why I give this a B minus. So, what'd you think of the player himself, though? What do you think of Max as a player?
This could be. I thought he was a pretty good player at Arizona State. Now I did see some of his film, but the one thing that stood out to me was his game against Texas Tech. Him specifically against David Bailey, number 2 overall pick that went to New York. It looked to me like he's a better pass protector. That's kind of his strong suit. That's what it looks to me when I watch his film against David Bailey. But the reality is, it could be a questionable pick. I don't know. Again, if he has to, I'm not saying every time or whatever, but the circumstances be if he goes against a Myles Garrett, right? Trey Henderson's still in the division. It's not like he left. Which Cincinnati, are you dumb? Anyway, I don't know if I'm taking him on that matchup. For the player, I'm gonna give it a B plus. I think the size is good. He has potential, but if this doesn't work, this is gonna be a very huge flop in your first round. But if this is a pick that he gets his potential there, he maybe starts out pretty good, maybe even better than Broderick his rookie year. I think this could be a huge win. So I'm gonna give it a B plus, just because for right now I am a little questionable. We do have to bring this up. He only played 1 year at Arizona State, to my knowledge, and he spent 2 years at JUCO. So that is, with the experience, I understand. I'm not gonna get into the kid's experience level, all this and that. Last time we went all in on a O lineman in the first draft or first round, I just cannot think to help myself but to think about Broderick. That's why this pick scares me just a little.
Don't forget about Fatano.
And for yes, okay, yes, fair. I just think too much about Broderick because I'm not a big fan of the kid.
I'm going to give him an A- because watching him play, and it wasn't just against David Bailey. He didn't just have a good game, and he didn't win every rep against David Bailey, but he
Right,
won a
right.
lot of. But
Yeah.
he dominated Malachi Lawrence, who were the fucking idiot Cowboys' 20th pick. Made him look pretty bad too. And the hardest thing at tackle to teach, I think, is the footwork. If you've got and I think that's why Broderick struggled so much on the right side, and why he played a lot better on the left side last year. It wasn't great, but it was better. This guy has the footwork. He has technique. Now, can he be bullied and pushed a little? Sometimes, but I think you can make a guy bigger and stronger and teach him. This guy, he's not like Caden Proctor, for example, who would have been slower as a left tackle, but ultimately he was such a huge giant of a person that he could just kind of be like, come here, baby, let me give you a hug. And that's it. You ain't going anywhere. Kind of like, TJ struggled against Cleveland now because they have that big giant tackle who just kind of, hey, give me a hug and that's it. So I like Guy Max. I like him as a player. I always thought he was a first round talent. I saw people comparing him to Artie Burns, Terrell Edmonds, Jarvis Jones. This ain't that. This ain't that. Was it a little bit of a reach? Yes. That's why I give it a B- on value. This guy was a first round talent, though. He was not getting out of the first round. So
No. Yes.
I think we can reserve a little judgment here. So let's switch over to Jeremy Bernard. So I'm going to go first on value here. So for value, I'm going to give it a C-. Actually, no. I'm going to go with my gut. I'm going to say D+. And here's why. You gave up pick 135.
You do not like this pick.
No, well, for value, I did not like moving up from 53 to 46. This was a very bad overreaction by Omar because he got screwed the night before on the pick from Mekhi Lemon. This guy would have been there at 53. Okay, I had him as the third, maybe the fourth receiver on the board. I know some people had him as high as the best wide receiver available in the second round. But based on where it was and who's there and everything else, man, I would have sat at 53, and if so be it if I get Chris Bell instead of this guy. But you gave up pick 135, and when we get to that round and talk about who we picked and who we didn't, I had a real problem with that because there were really good players on the board at 121 and 135 that we passed over. So, again, player separate. I'm going to give a different grade for the player. But for value, I thought this was a huge mistake. I almost gave it an F, but after watching tape, I upgraded it to a D+. What do you think?
Yeah, so I didn't catch the the rest of the draft live. I was doing some other stuff, some family stuff on Friday night. So didn't really off the top of my head know who was on the board at that time and on what. But I mean, I can tell based on the picks. But my thing is for value, I'm kind of on the same boat with you. I'll give it a C-, almost a D+, but I'll give it a C-. Again, you didn't. I thought the trade was questionable. I kind of like you said, he would have been available. I thought again, it kind of is because he needed a receiver, and he maybe thought that because, like you said, a lot of people had Bernard going up pretty high in the second round. Maybe Omar thought I better get him before somebody else does. Just like what happened with Mekhi Lemon. Maybe to not that degree. I don't think he's sitting here saying, okay, we cannot miss out on this kid. We gotta go. But I think it's like if he goes off the second round before we even have a chance to get him, A, we're gonna get a lot more shit because from our fans, we still need a receiver. B, who are we gonna get? Realistically, and I think they put a lot of time on getting him. They knew they wanted him in the second round. That's what you have to do. If you not the right player, but if you want somebody, trade up and get him. You still should have done that in the first round. You did it with the wrong receiver. For that reasons, I would give it a C, maybe a C+, because I like the player. I know a lot of people don't. I do. I think he is a smooth route runner. He could help a lot in the slot. But again, this was not the player to make that trade for. And it wasn't like 10, 6, 7 spots. Like it really wasn't that big of a deal.
So it certainly wasn't the biggest reach of the second round because DeJohn Stribling at pick 33. I'm still trying to figure that out. San Francisco, thanks. Denzel Boston goes to pick 39. Cleveland's draft low key was pretty intense. So then you trade up to pick 47 to get Bernard, okay? But then you look at the rest of the round, nobody else picked wide receiver. All right? So I don't know that anybody else was going. And the next wide receiver actually off the board was Antonio Williams to the Commanders, who's kind of a slot guy who doesn't go to pick 71. And then Malachi Fields, which I'm surprised he went as high as he did based on the 40 time, but you can't teach size. So, I'm happy to see my Notre Dame guy go. But yeah, I mean, there were some, Brazel, Zachariah Branch, if you're going that type of receiver, Ted Hurst, Bryce Lance. There's all kinds of guys there who, that's what I mean. Even if you take the risk and say, okay, I'm going to move up because I want to get XYZ, when nobody else picks wide receiver behind you and nobody goes again till 30 picks later, basically, that's why I'm so hard on it. Now, let's talk about the player for a second because you mentioned smooth route runner, okay? Now, I did put this out on TikTok that when the first thing they say about a slot receiver is, well, he doesn't have top-end speed, but he's a good route runner. I don't want a slow slot receiver, okay? But quickness and route running does factor more than straight line speed. So I can see where it can work. I've watched enough of his tape now to know that, okay, this can work. Kind of, I compared Chris Bell to Hines Ward. I can squint my eyes and see a little Hines here. Not as much as I could see with Chris Bell. For the player, based on, I don't think he can ever play outside. He's got to be an underneath gadget. I saw comps to Deebo Samuel, better route runner, maybe a little faster than Deebo. If he turns into poor man's Deebo Samuel, that's a pretty good pick in this, in the second round. So based on the player, I'm going to give him a B.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. Again, it is a position we need very, very much. He completes that, in my opinion, he completes that receiver core. I think call me biased. I think Will Howard and him would be great. I think Will Howard throwing him the ball would be great.
Is there anybody you don't think Will Howard would be great with?
I think let's hope the Steelers have a really, really bad year, get the first overall pick, and Jeremiah Smith is a Steeler. Then we can talk. No, that's fantasy land. That's what we call fantasy booking. But no, on a real note, he's solid. Played well against big games, especially against Georgia. And again, he has the good height. He's made some cool catches. He's actually made some a lot, but like he turns behind his back the last minute, he will get it. He will, and if he burns you deep, just throw him the ball. So for player, yeah, I would give him I'd give him like a B. I'd give him a B. I don't want to say B plus, but because I like his I don't like his size too much, is what I meant to say.
I got you. All right, so let's talk about the man of the hour. I'll let you go first. What's the value of Drew Aller? I think I know where we're both going here.
I'm giving it a D. A D. Again, it is a quarterback. I'm not going to sit here and complain about the Steelers adding quarterback into their depth chart. I'm not going to, gets rid of Mason Rudolph, if I'm being honest. Which for Drew Aller, you could debate. But this is my thing. The kid, this is just a personal thing, right? It has nothing to do with him playing on the field. The kid didn't even want to put the Steelers hat on because he's born and raised in Cleveland.
I know
he's a diehard Browns fan. That just hurts my heart to know that, you saw it. He did not want to put that hat on. Now, let's talk. I bet he was disappointed as hell that he wasn't even drafted by the Browns anyway. Now, his game, again, I'm going to say it. I'm not saying this because Will Howard is an Ohio State guy and I like him more. The size is way better. People are, I like Drew Aller's size. Have you seen Will Howard? Have you seen Will Howard run the ball? He cannot play in big games. He has horrible footwork. Why do Steelers fans think that this kid is going to save our offense? I'm so much at this point, I would rather have Aaron Rodgers come in and be our quarterback. I'm not saying over any like Will Howard or whatever, but I don't see any of these quarterbacks. I'm just telling you who I would prefer if I had to make a choice between these two. In all honesty, we're screwed if this is our quarterback core going into September. It's not going to be fun. It's not going to be fun. The player, I'm going to give him a C-. I think I didn't see anything that really impressed me even before he got hurt. Didn't see anything impress me, but my thing is he can keep a game close. He can get his team to a fourth quarter comeback, but he never wins them. He never finishes. He always does that one thing at the end of the game he's a turnover machine, ladies and gentlemen, especially in close situations at the end of the game. I do not want Drew Aller as my quarterback. He's C-.
I get you. So for value, I'm giving the first failing grade here. I'm giving an F. And I'll tell you, and I'm going to tell you why. Okay. Number one, everybody knows I'm not a fan of the guy, but let's just talk about this. So you're on the clock at pick 76. The teams following you are Green Bay, Indianapolis, Atlanta, Baltimore, Jacksonville, Minnesota. Maybe you need a quarterback. Carolina, Tampa Bay, and then the Steelers again. So the likelihood that Drew Aller gets picked from between pick 76 and 85 is low to me. Okay. Then you turn around after you pick at 85. Immediately following you was Cleveland, Miami, Jacksonville, Chicago, San Francisco, the Raiders, the Cowboys, the Rams, Miami again, New England, and then you're up again with the trade up. I'm sorry, but none of those teams were going to pick Drew Aller. If Drew Aller had been the last pick in the third round, I'd have a lot less problem with this pick. But guys who were there at 76, Chris McClellan went the next pick to Green Bay. Love him. Defensive lineman out of Missouri. Not a huge A.J. Halsey fan, but a lot of people are. You're looking at Ted Hurst was on the board. You're looking at Dominique Orange if you want to go defensive tackle. The Emmanuel Pregnon is sitting there, and we said, now ultimately they went Dunker. We'll talk about him in a minute. Chris Bell is there. There's all kinds of options for you at pick 76, and I would not have hated doubling up on wide receiver there, and we still could have took our fourth round pick way back then. Now, that being said, I give and I don't know what he was doing. I don't know what Omar was fucking thinking. This was a bad reach at this pick. Now, the player himself. Okay, I've been swayed a little bit. Number one, he's a Steeler now, so I got to root for him. So I'm going to give him a C. All right. I was swayed a little bit with the talk today about how the actual head coach who was the coordinator, when they said, hey, why didn't you let him loose? Why didn't you turn him loose? Well, I wasn't the head coach. Okay. So he kind of hinted that the head coach hurt him a little bit. I still think you're the guy delivering the ball and making the throw. I don't see balls and moxie on this kid. I just don't. Maybe he grows into it, but I'm sorry. If you're choking in college, I don't see how you break that habit in the NFL. Okay, you either have it or you don't. Now, hey, look, you went up top, you were down 7, and you made a big throw, and you forced it into a tight window to try to win the game, and you get picked off. No problem. You give the game away, I got a big problem with you. Now, that being said, like I said, he's a Steeler. I'm going to root for him. I'm not part of the Penn State back and forth in the fan base, but every Pitt fan does not want this guy. Okay. And they remember what the Penn State fans did to Kenny. They're going to go after him like that. What's sad is this is another reason I'm giving it an F. If Drew Aller somehow gets on the field, and let's just say Aaron comes back, but halfway through the year, it ain't working out, so they put Drew Aller on the field. If Drew Aller gets on the field and plays even remotely well, there's a chance the Steelers don't pick a quarterback next year. And if that happens, man, have we screwed ourselves. So,
and you know what?
That's my thought.
I gotta be honest too. I gotta stick to my gut, even if it's I mentioned with Will Howard, whatever. If you throw Drew Aller in there, he takes you 4-2 or whatever. You got to keep him in.
Yeah,
you got to keep him in. So no, I agree. I'm not thrilled about it. But again, I mean, I'm just hoping. I'm having a little bit more faith in McCarthy. If he's this big quarterback whisperer, especially if Aaron and him do come back this season, I think any of these guys would be okay under McCarthy. So we'll see. Right now, I'm obviously not thrilled about it, just because I think, again, this might sound so biased, but I think the Steelers organization, some Steelers fans are like, well, we need somebody. Will Howard, they look at him 6th round pick, this and that. I'm like, I don't know if they really seen the kid play. I'm just talking about the general Steelers fans, because I don't really understand how people could sit here and tell me, if you really watch college football, that you would rather have this kid over Will Howard. It's crazy to me.
Well, I don't know. I don't know who's going to win the Will Howard competition. I mean, like I said, I think it was Awesome Angels.
You know what?
It
sucks.
Skylar Thompson wins that quarterback competition if it's an open competition. So let's talk about
it sucks that we didn't get to see him in the preseason last year. I think that would have gotten us a little bit more of an idea. A lot of Steelers fans, a little bit of an idea on Will Howard. But yeah, I agree. We'll move on.
Yeah, let's talk about this next pick. Okay, Dalen Everett. So from a value standpoint, I don't hate this one as much as I hated some other ones. I'm going to actually give this a C+. And the reason why is because I do think he fills a need and he doesn't have to play right away. I think he could help on special teams. He's a really good tackler. He is a slot corner. Okay. So more than likely he's sitting behind Brandon Echols and Jalen Ramsey, depending on how they use them. I don't see, barring injury, him getting on the field. I do think he can help a little bit on special teams because, like I said, he's a really good tackler. The only reason I give it a C+, honestly, and this is another one where, my man Omar, I mean, come on, man. Jermod McCoy is sitting there. Now, he's not a slot corner, but he's a fucking first-round talent. Everybody said he was a talent. Now, I know his knee is really bad. Really bad. But come on, Omar took Fatanu and gave him a red shirt medical year. Okay, he ain't afraid to take a guy because he's hurt. And I'm sorry, but the value there, you got to take Jermod McCoy. You just do. Now, as far as the player goes, I will say this. I like Everett as a player. I do think there is some upside here. I'm only giving him a B- because I don't think he's going to get on the field barring injury. But 2 years from now, we're really going to like this pick. This was a really good cornerback. And remember, Omar's only drafted 2 other corners. Now, one is pretty fucking good. Joey Porter, top 5 corner in the NFL, probably. Top 10 at the worst. And, Mr. Glass, Corey Trice. So I give him an A for Joey. I give him a F for Corey Trice. I like this pick. I just do. I like Dalen Everett. I'm a fan.
Yeah, I agree. For the value, I will give it. I'd give it a B because I think one of the reasons why the Steelers um, wanted to, they attracted them in a big way is because at Georgia he played a lot of man, and I think that's something the Steelers are looking for. They're also looking for somebody consistent to play, opposite of Joey Porter. Um, he did play outside corner at Georgia. Took a lot of it, but he took some reps at the nickel spot too. So he can play really anywhere in that corner spot. He is 6'1", so that's not bad. That's not great. But like you said, I think in a few years, he gets on the field, he looks good, especially in man, because I think that's why the Steelers went and target him. I think this could be a good third round pick. For the player, I like him. Also give him a B. I think like you said, he might not see the field for a year, maybe even two. But I think when he does, I think his aggressiveness, and if he gets a lot of picks, they're going to use him a lot man to man. I think he'll be pretty cool. So I like the player. I like the pick. I have really no real complaint about this one, other than I'm not gonna, he did have some injuries. The other, or was it last year at Georgia? Yeah, last year at Georgia, he had some. I don't know what it was though. What?
Well, one thing about him too is, there was the knock on him in the draft process was they didn't always like when how he reacted to getting beat, that he kind of went into a shell. And it's interesting that the guy he really got beat the worst by was our second round pick. So was Omar playing some 4D chess here and saying, hey, the only guy that he really beat him up in college, we picked him. So, hey, why not? Let's bring him in. We'll make sure that he I don't know. I don't know. Now, this next guy, and I'm sorry. Now, number one, I will say this. This is not the guy I wanted to play guard. Pregnon was there to be had, and that's why I'll let you go first. I'll let you do the value and the evaluation of Dunker.
I mean, I didn't check too much of his film, but I do know they are trying to fill in again more of that offensive lines, that spot. I don't know if this was the right pick. Again, I didn't watch the third round live. There could have been some other people left on the board, but again, value for the. I'd give it a C. I mean, I'm not going to complain about getting another offensive tackle in the draft. You could just question, is this the guy? But again, Iowa, they ran the ball a lot. Their pass game sucked. If he's decent in his run blocking, I don't mind that. I know the Steelers' new offensive line coach thinks, highly of him. Maybe he could put him at a guard first, tackle second type of thing. So we'll see.
Oh, he's definitely. They drafted him as a guard. They
drafted him as a guard. Okay, so yeah, right. So
yeah.
they'll put him at guard. If it doesn't work, maybe they'll try him at tackle. I think he could maybe fit both of those positions. So for the value C player, again, I didn't check too much of his film, I'll be honest, but from what I did see, he's not bad. But again, it's one of those things where his footwork could use a little bit of improvement. I'll just give him a C as well. He's he's the most, how do I say this? He's the guy on this draft class the most I got to go back and watch film on.
Okay, so for value here, I'm giving him a B because I really wanted Pregnon. I thought Pregnon was a second round talent, borderline first round talent. He's sitting there for you at pick 85. And, I went through it with Aller, which is why I gave him an F. But it's hard to be a Steelers fan and not love a guy who walks out waving the terrible towel with a huge red mullet. And, this is a Steelers guy, okay? He just is. Now, will he ultimately be a better guard than Pregnon? I don't think so. But does he have to rise to that level to be good? No. I think he's going to be on the Steelers for a while. I think this is a tailor-made. If you drew up what a Steelers lineman should look like on a piece of paper and said, hey, go find that guy, that would be the guy. Now, the player himself, I'm giving this an A- because number one, I do think he's going to be a very good guard. I thought he would have issues at tackle in the NFL, but I like him. I really like him. Okay. He's a guy who I think his run blocking is way ahead of his pass protection, but he's not a bad pass protector. And especially with Zach Frazier there to help him inside, I think there's some double team stuff he can do. I kind of reminds me a little bit of how McCormick was that nasty road grader coming out, and then he had to get there in pass protection. I think Dunker is a little better than McCormick was coming out as a prospect, but I do see if McCormick and Dunker are our guards for the next 5-8 years, I'm totally okay with it. And come on. I mean, he's a guy. He's a Steeler guy. I mean, come on. Yeah, I mean, it's why I love Skoranek, the long hair, ready. I'm with Kaboli on this one. I don't see how any Steeler fan cannot like Jennings Dunker. I actually thought this was Omar's best pick of the first two nights. He saved it for last. And we missed some opportunities, but I actually, from a pick standpoint, I actually give this one the best grade. Let's move on to the one that gives me heartburn. Okay. Alan Saunders put this out right after they picked him, that he liked Wetjen as a player, but he had him 253 on his board. I always thought Wetjen would be a nice fit for the Steelers in the 6th fucking round. Okay. Maybe the 7th. Okay. Maybe you stretch in the 5th. Okay. And this is my problem with the whole day 3. It seemed like we were picking special teams and, like very, hey, here's a cookie cutter. We want this. And is Wetjen the best returner in college football last year? Yes, he was. There's a lot to like about him. He's 4'6", and he's a small slot receiver. Okay. Although I did watch his tape at the Shrine Bowl. He looked pretty good in running some routes. And they do want to use him a little bit as a wide receiver. So I could see maybe a bubble screen gadget kind of play for him. And who knows, maybe he turns into a slot receiver. But from a value standpoint, I got to give this one another F. I mean, I don't know what the fuck Omar was thinking on this.
I got to agree with the F.
Now, as far as the player goes, because he's strictly a returner, I'm going to give him a C. But this has B upside. So you agree on the F?
I think, I agree on the F. And I think your player grading is pretty fair as well, because I think he's just going to get brought in here to fill in as a receiver. I know people are expecting that this guy's gonna, replace the people think this guy has Calvin Austin written all over him. I don't see it, but like you said, he can be. I'm gonna give it a C+ because I he is the best returner. He led the FBS in college, the Big Ten, or 2-time Big Ten return specials of the year. So his college resume is pretty good, but he's not going to be any valuable as a receiver. We got that. That's done. We don't need, I mean, not that we don't need, but if we're looking at our 3 guys right now, we have that.
I would have liked to seen him get an actual receiver because, like I said, I think Wetjen would have been available, which brings us to another guy with a Steeler name, Riley Nowakowski from Indiana. And if you watch their run, this guy, they got him listed as a fullback, but let's be realistic. He's a tight end. And he can play a little fullback. Imagine kind of what they wanted Connor Hayward to be. Except for Connor Hayward is the smallest tight end in 50 years. This guy is very comparable in size to a guy we had last year at tight end who played some weird positions, who we all did not like very much. But, I kind of like this pick. I mean, from a value standpoint, I'm going to give it a D because, again, this is another guy I think would have been available in the 6th, and there were some people here. But as far as the player goes, I actually give this a B+. I think this is a guy who will make the team and can really help the team.
No, I agree. I think for value, I would give it a D as well because again, a lot of people had this guy going like 220, 215.
Mm-hmm.
So again, he would have been available. You didn't have to go out and get him. But again, I like the player. I think this fills that quote unquote Connor Hayward replacement. I would give the player a B-. He played well at Indiana. He is a little undersized, but again, he's a hybrid player. You could use him to, block. You could have him do short outside routes if he wants to line up as a tight end. He could do a couple things. This is literally the Connor Hayward replacement. So I'm not thinking too much of it other than you didn't have to go spend your 5th round pick and get him at 120 169. You didn't have to go get him at 169.
Our man Somber coming in. What have we learned? Consensus boards don't mean a damn thing. Amen, Somber. Amen. Good to see you, by the way. Yes, hello. I know Somber early on in the draft process pointed out how much he loved Caden Wetjen, but I don't think even he thought he was going in the 4th round. So but I do like this Riley kid. He comps to Johnny Smith as far as physically.
Mm-hmm.
And
okay.
we misused Johnny Smith a lot last year, but I like this guy, kind of a gadget guy, kind of a, there's some interesting things here that can be done with him. So let's move on to another stunner. Wetjen, do you think he was going in the 4th? That's true. Do you hear the story? He's on the fucking golf course because he doesn't think he's going to get drafted. Little did he know, Omar Khan was out there panicking. So, let me talk about Mr. Gabriel Rubio as the
Mr. Notre Dame.
Mr. Notre Dame. Okay, so this is another one I'm going to give an F as far as value goes. And I'm going to preface this by saying I'm actually a fan of this guy. I like Gabriel Rubio. There are some things to like about him in the run game. He is rivaling Corey Trice for how fucking injured he is. But when he's on the field, he's a good player. He would have been there as an undrafted free agent. That's why I'm giving him an F. But the player actually helping the defensive line, I saw some people comparing him to Isaiah Loudermilk. I think he's better than Isaiah Loudermilk in the run game. If this guy stays healthy, he's probably a 4th round pick. But he didn't stay healthy. He didn't stay healthy multiple times. And then Somber's pointing out the tape against Ione, or however the fuck you say his name. He's a Raven, so I call him asshole now. Which by the way, what the fuck, Baltimore? You show up and you start in our own building? Do you understand how bad we're going to beat your fucking ass this year for that? We may only win 2 games, but they're going to both be against the fucking Ravens. I'll tell you that. But yeah,
they cannot take that AFC Championship game out of their head. Week 18, yeah. They can't. No, I think this pick made no sense.
I'm going to give Rubio a C+, by the way. Go ahead, go.
No, yeah, for the player, he's fine, but okay, for value, it's an F. I think it's an F. It's 100%. Do they need depth in the defensive line? Yes, but this pick made no sense. He was terrible. I honestly don't think he's ever been that good. He missed half of the 2020. Now, okay, that good. Yes, he's all right. I'm talking about this last season. He missed half of it. What was it? His lower back, upper back? I don't know if it's his lower or upper back, but one of his back, part of his back is all screwed. He's not even ranked on a list. You give me 600 players on this draft or whatever. He's not even on that. I will be shocked if he even stays on the roster. He's going to get cut. I like the player.
I don't think he'll get cut, but No, I think you have a good point though. You're actually right. I do think you're right. I think he'll get cut and go back to the practice squad. This could be a guy in a year or two who could actually help us.
Fair, but get that back injury settled down because again, this is not that pick. I'm not look. Injuries are a part of the game. I'm not gonna, you're hurt, so I'm not gonna completely put my faith in you. But this is a draft. Like, this is not a pick that you needed to draft somebody. And so I like the for the player. I'll give him a C minus. I think he's good when he's healthy, but he can't stay healthy.
Yep. So, were you saying the collective who for Robert Spears Jennings when they picked him?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not familiar with Robert Spears Jennings. I know he's a safety. I did see a little bit like a clip or two. I forget who it was, but I mean he's physical.
4-3
I mean
safety.
he's quick. Those little speed guys. But the reality is he's gonna be a special teams guy. I don't see. I like the player. I think the player. I'll be honest. I'll give him a B minus. The player. I don't think he's a bad player, but again, he's going to be a special teams guy. He's undersized. I don't think he's going to fit in that safety rotation. I would give the value a D. I'd be shocked if he gets rotated in there, consistently.
So, and Sommer's got a good point here that he is a good tackler. He's got straight line speed, and this is exactly what I thought too. And this is my problem with the pick. It's a 7th round pick, so I'm not going to be too hard on value here. I'm going to give him a C for value. I actually think this is another really good pick. Actually, I'm going to give him a B because I do think that's exactly what they drafted him for, is to be the gunner on special teams.
Yep.
I'm kind of surprised that, we went returner in the 4th round. We should have gone gunner in the 5th. I'm just kidding. We should not have. But yeah, I actually like straight line speed. He's got to develop a lot in the safety. I was watching some tape on him and listening to somebody analyze him, and they say straight line speed, really good. Tackler, really good. If a guy cuts and runs an in, a post, an out, a curl, he can't stop. He can't run sideways. So he's got some work to do. But if he's a great special teams player, Miles Killebrew is a great special teams player.
Yeah.
If he's that replacement, I'm okay with that. So,
yeah. No, I agree. He has he don't miss tackles. That's the one thing I know about this kid. That's the one thing I've seen a lot of people say about this kid. I haven't seen too much film. Again, when I'm done with Monday Night Raw tonight, I am curious. There's 3 people, especially Dunker. I do want to see his film, but there are a couple people on. And then Friday, next time we talk, I'll probably have more on him as well. But yeah, he does not. That one thing I do know, he does not miss tackles. So gunner for him will be perfect. And if he gets in there, some injuries happen. He don't miss tackles. I think he'll keep, if he can keep his receivers in front of him, just don't let him get by him. I think he could not work out. Again, his size is criminal. He's not good size, but if he can keep receivers in front of him and they're not overly quick, I think if he makes a tackle, he's fine.
All right, so let's talk about the last pick in the draft. Eli Heidenreich, United States Naval Academy.
Respect. This was a feel-good moment for Pittsburgh. This is the draft the Pittsburgh native in the last pick of the draft they had. Look, value. I mean, I gotta give it a D. I'm sorry. I mean, not because I don't mean. I thought the pick was.
He was Navy's best player.
He was Navy's best player, but I'm just going off what we've drafted already. The player, I'm gonna give him a B plus. He played again Navy's best player. He's a Pittsburgh native. I just thought the whole thing about this pick was really good. I mean, he can play a lot of positions. He can play running back. Remember, I was telling you earlier, he's another person that we got who can play both running back and wide receiver. Really good on triple option. Navy used him a lot in the triple option formations, and what was it? He set a school record with I think like 950 receiving yards for 50 receptions or something like that. So I love the player. He's a Pittsburgh native. This was a feel good moment. That's why I give the value a D. I think it was just, let's draft the Pittsburgh native with the last pick. I think he would have went undrafted. But the player, again, Navy's best player, good in the triple option, 950 receiving yards, and only 50 receptions, and they have him listed as a freaking running back. I think that's a pretty cool stat. That's why I give the player a B plus. But the reason why I give it a B plus, I just don't know how much playing time or how he's going to be used in this Steelers offense.
This is actually interesting. If Allen said that Wetjen is willing to line up in the backfield and motion out to slot. Now, if you have him doing the Gainwell stuff from last year, that's actually really interesting. Now, I couldn't more. I had Eli in the 5th round. Okay, so this is the only A I'm going to give Omar in value. Really, okay. Now look, there's a little overhyping going on with Eli Heidenreich. People are comping him to Christian McCaffrey. Very similar.
We got a Christian McCaffrey in the 7th round. Woo! That's all I've been seeing.
He's very similar speed measurables, a little bit different player. This is another guy, though, who can do everything. If you have the right coordinator use him, then yes, he could. And I don't see him as Christian McCaffrey, but I think he's going to make the team. I think he's going to be a slot receiver / running back for them. People had him as a fullback. I never thought he was a fullback, and when he ran sub 4.5 at the 40 or at the combine, yeah, this guy is. I like this pick a lot. The comp I saw that I love for Eli Heidenreich is Danny Woodhead. If Eli Heidenreich has Danny Woodhead's career, we stole it. And as far as the player itself, I'm ex-Navy. I don't give a shit. I'm giving him an A+ for value.
I got a Navy blanket. When I was in high school. When I was in high school, I was on the basketball team and football team, but my basketball team, we did a weekend camp at the Naval Academy in Annapolis, in Maryland. So it was really cool. We got to play at the Navy basketball courts, got to see the Navy football field. So yeah, every time, ever since then, I always root for Navy in the Army and Navy game. I got Navy merch. So I support those guys. I do like to see, because I got to see a little bit being on their base. We got to see how the athletes like worked out, and then it was really different compared to a traditional college athletics. So no, I like the pick. I like the kid. I like the player. I just, again, if we're going by what I mean by value is I'm just looking at the guy. I think he's valuable. He could be valuable to our team. Yes. But if I'm just looking at the other, positions and kind of gaps we filled in this draft, I don't know if he's going to help us tremendously, but we'll see. I do like the kid. Overall, I don't think the draft was terrible. There are there are a few that you could just question. Why did you have to get him now? I'm not mad that you got him, but why did you have to get him now? That's my
he was their last pick in the draft. So
no, I'm talking about like the Notre Dame kid, the defensive tackle we just talked about. Did you have to get him there? Or there's just, you could say that for one or two people. I know you're talking about for Bernard. Did you have to trade up a couple spots just to get him when he probably would have fell at 53? That's the only thing. And then the Mekhi Lemon thing's very freaking embarrassing. I'm not going to get over that. And it's not because Mekhi Lemon's just sensational stud and whatever. Oh, he's going to impact, the Pittsburgh offense more than DK or Pittman. No, it's the simple fact that your GM looks stupid calling somebody when he's not even on the clock. That's my only thing.
All right. Well, I know you got a hard stop here for Raw. You guys going live tonight during Raw?
We'll be live on the YouTube. Yep. And then I do the AEW post shows on Wednesday on the Sports Chat Network. My guys do the NXT, the developmental show reviews on Tuesday. So yes, we'll be back here probably Friday. I'll be back here. I know I missed Friday, so I'll probably join you. You're here Friday.
Well, actually, one quick thing. Friday, I am moving my daughter from Florida State,
cool.
so I probably
Cool.
won't be on
Okay,
Friday,
cool.
but maybe we
No,
can
I'll
go
see you next
Thursday or
Monday.
next Monday.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll probably be with you here next Monday. But
Sounds
yeah,
good.
cool. Sounds good.
Yeah, guys, like, share, subscribe. Somber, thanks for showing up and sharing your thoughts on the draft. You always have great stuff. But yeah, like, share, subscribe. Watch Chris's show tonight. If you love wrestling, they do great stuff over there on the Sports Jedi Network. 20,000 and growing subscribers, right, Chris?
Almost. We're like 19 point. Yes, we had it, but a couple things happened. So yes, we're at like 19.5. So we're almost at 20,000. We should be there. By the end
Curse
of
you,
this year,
YouTube.
hopefully. So, Kurt, dude, YouTube has so many problems, dude. But yeah, we're almost there. It's been fun. It's been fun. We got a lot of cool things coming up. So stay tuned.
All right.
For here, and we got a cool things coming up here for the football side coming up now that WrestleMania is over. So
there you go. All right. Well, guys, thanks for tuning in, and we'll definitely see you next Monday. And stay tuned. We might put a video out. Maybe we'll go live on Thursday. We'll see what happens. Talk to you later.
And just like that, I left everything. See ya!